What's up, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Story Behind the Photo series, where I'm going to be going over a specific photo and the story that led up to it, or the sighting that happened in and around that photograph. So in today's episode, we're going to be going over this photo right here of this lion suffocating a buffalo. So I took this photo back in 2016 towards the beginning of my guiding career. But even now, 5 years later, I remember this so clearly as if it was yesterday. This was on a morning safari. We had headed out quite early and we had made our way to an open area on the reserve that is great for the morning, as there's great sunrise shots as well as good general game, as the plains game generally sleep on those open areas, and then it's a good area for them to graze. So quite early on into our drive, we had reached this open area and we had come across two big male lions. They were part of a coalition and were brothers, and they were kind of just lying in this open area, just enjoying the sun and watching their surroundings. We'd only been with them for a few minutes when we noticed across kind of the drainage line on the other side of this open area, a herd of buffalo were making their way down for a morning drink. This immediately alerted one of the lions, who had his head up and was watching them, and he definitely looked interested, while his other brother was still fast asleep on the floor. It had only been a couple more minutes as these buffaloes were making their way closer and closer to the drainage line that was basically in between the lions and the buffalo, and there was water there, so they were on their way to drink. One of the lions had got up and was starting to make his way down to the buffalo. Now, this was still quite a distance away from the buffalo, so the lion was kind of blended in with his surroundings, and he was basically walking straight towards the dam at the drainage line where the buffaloes were going to drink. So we basically started to follow him, but we did make sure to keep our distance, because when you're in a noisy safari vehicle, you don't want to basically alert the prey to look in your direction and then possibly spot the lion. So we were keeping our distance, but trotting along, basically following him. And I even remember he stopped and he picked up his paw, and he looked like he had got a thorn in his foot, and he used his mouth and he kind of removed that thorn and he kept going. Every 10 meters or so, he would often stop. He would look back and kind of check where his brother is, and we would do the same. And every time we looked back, his brother was still flat on the floor, not interested in the slightest. Now, this definitely did dampen our spirits a little bit, because buffaloes are big animals. They're very tough to hunt, and the fact that there was only now one male lion interested in this hunt, it definitely lowered the chances of this happening. But nonetheless, we were all super excited on the vehicle. None of us on that car had seen a kill before, so we were very excited. We kept following him, and he basically did not stop. He continued straight over the dam wall, and he went kind of behind a little embankment and behind a bush, watching this herd of buffalo. So as we caught up to the lion, the buffaloes had changed a little bit, and kind of now were going a bit perpendicular to where the lion was. And this actually worked out, because now the buffaloes weren't looking in the direction of the lion, but they also weren't necessarily coming any closer. And before we could even think about what was going to happen next, the lion took off. He went after the back of the herd, and at the back of the herd there were the females and some of the younger ones, and he literally went straight for a relatively young female, not a baby by any sorts. And we didn't even have any time to react. He went straight from the bush, straight to the buffalo, and went straight on top of the back of a female and brought her straight to the ground. Unfortunately, didn't get any photos of this specific sequence, as I was having to drive and to put the guests first and where they could see what was going on. But we did manage to get around to kind of the front, where the buffalo had now been taken down and the lion was holding its throat, and that's where we got this photo. So now we were in a prime position. We could stop the car, switch off, and just enjoy the sighting. It was incredibly intense, and at the same time, the herd of buffalo had turned and were now contemplating whether they should come and rescue their member of the herd, or whether they should save themselves and run. Now, with African buffalo, they are well known for defending against lions, and they are quite brave, but in this case, they hesitated a little too long. They realized the fight was lost, and they turned and walked away. Now, what was so interesting is, because we were on this open area, obviously a lot of animals could see this from quite a long way away. And there was this group of giraffe, there was about 10 or so of them, and they actually came closer. They're quite curious, inquisitive animals. and this army of giraffe were just coming closer, watching what was happening. It was quite incredible. Now, it was at this point, at the time of the commotion and the noise and everything, where the second brother had now heard what was going on, lifted his head, was able to see what was going on, and he thought, my brother's done all the hard work, there's a free meal for me here, and he started making his way. Once again, with all the commotion, it was attracting a few other little visitors, and it wasn't long before a little black-backed jackal popped up, and now he was there already waiting for scraps. When the second lion joined up with the first lion, they were now strong enough and they started to drag the carcass away. So the idea of this is they wanted to hide it. There was obviously a lot of eyes on them, and they wanted to hide this carcass so less animals could see it or could find it. So they had already attracted a black-backed jackal, but now they want to try avoid attracting things like hyenas and specifically vultures. So as it was warming up that morning, you would have started to see more vultures up in the sky. So if they can hide their carcass under a bush or behind a tree or something like that, it will have less chance of the vultures spotting it, which will then attract further predators and scavengers like other lions or hyenas. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you did enjoy the story behind the photo. If you did like this first episode, please give a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and let me know if you would like to see more of these.